Welcome to Ask Gwen, everyone. Today I have Meilin with me, and I'm going to let Meilin share her story, and I'm going to be asking the questions like I always do, and we're just going to have a natural conversation. So, welcome, Meilin.
Thank you, Win, for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And so, Meilin, what do you do?
I support people in creating unending momentum to bring clarity into their life, passion, right? Purpose, so they can stand in their own light and shine out their message into the world.
Okay. So, when you say supporting people with unending momentum, what do you mean by that? How
That's
do
really
you?
interesting. It built up over my life. I didn't just come up with it. I to you, like you, I have cerebral palsy. So energy has been always an interest to me as a young child. Maybe I didn't know what it was. So later then in my life, when I got pushed through my cats into, in a way, shamanism, and I got interested about the brain because I wanted to understand my way the body works. Then I was able to combine those two things, and I've observed and spoke with many, many people, and to see how our body reacts to how we live, and do we live our own knowledge in a way, right? Or purpose, one would say. And if we do that, we have a vast amount of energy. Because if we or we're trained by society not to, right, shine our own light, we contract and tighten up, become fearful of ourselves, and have no courage to be our uniquely us. Like I believe you are a bombastic example, Win, of how it is to live your unending energy, right? What we are here on this earth to do. Nothing holds you back. You have a calling from deep within inside. You don't care what happens in life. You keep on going. And that's what I
Well,
mean too. Mhm.
I'm trying mainly. And now you're right. People with most disabilities have a calling from deep down inside them, and we just live life to the fullest and don't give a flying rat's ass as to what other people think because we live life to the fullest.
Yeah. But that was not easy. You know, it's easy for you and me to say because we have now decided to shine a light, to be seen, to speak. You have a podcast. I have a radio
Yeah.
show now 6 years. We've done many videos and also a podcast, right? And I'm on stage. So I'm now in my 50s. Yeah. But there were times where I couldn't do that. There were times where I barely spoke and pulled back. And I think many people also with disability or no disability, there is this time in our life where we do observe how we are being looked at. And because we're more visible in a way, because everyone notices in a flicker of a second that we walk different, that we talk different, that our facial expressions are different, right? Um, so as a younger child, I think maybe the new generation, it's different. The young ones that come out now, they just carry everything with such normality because they are who they are. But I think for us, you have to tell me how it was for you, Win. But for me, it was also then I became shy. I retracted, and I didn't want to be looked at by anyone. And luckily, I had fantastic friends that said already when I was a teenager, And it made me think, I said, Meilin, they don't look at the way you walk, they look in your face because you're always smiling at them. And I thought, oh, okay. But I always thought they look at me because I walk different, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what happens is that my biggest thing is when people stare at me on the street. I I need 24-hour help. I need help 24 hours a day. And so for me, I need help 24 hours a day. And I was with a friend of mine once, and she goes, we were at the grocery store, and this was before COVID when I was allowed in the grocery store, when I wasn't high risk enough to not be going to the grocery store. And people started staring at me. And now, granted, I'm in my 30s, and she goes, really? People stare at a 30-year-old with cerebral palsy? I'm like, oh, that's you've just seen the beginning of it, honey. I mean, it's like people will still stare, even if we as a society make it so that they don't. We can wave, we can say hi, we can do any which way that it's not even funny. But yeah,
Yeah. But I had to think about it because then I thought, oh my God, maybe it is the other way around. So that's, it's the inner mind. And I had to experience that, a lot of people look at other people. And I observe myself watching people. I
yeah,
sitting in a cafe, right? In Europe, we sit in cafes a lot. And just thinking, what is this person who just walks by? What makes them tick, right? So I thought, oh my God, look, I'm also watching after people once they walk by, or
yeah,
I'm very
we
curious.
all do it.
So then I
We
thought,
all do
oh,
it
all
as
other people are just curious and maybe they just want to understand, or they have not experienced it. And then suddenly all this awkwardness that I thought that was directed to me dissolved. And since then I don't have that anymore because I
yeah.
noticed, no, that is just a very human way of trying to understand the world.
And as my biological mom used to say, would you please quit staring? No, people watching is one of my favorite things ever. And so yes, I said people watching. People watching is one of my favorite things ever. So we as a human society tend to stare at one another, and people stare at us because we walk into the room sideways, and people are amazed that we're still standing.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. I remember I met a guy, really, they were, when I lived in Atlanta. Now I live in Germany. But he was in a wheelchair and he had this, beautiful woman from inside out or outside in, doesn't matter. Very good. And I asked her one day why she was together with this man. And she said, because I fell in love with the way he danced with his wheelchair on the dance floor. And that, and I thought, oh my God, look from what awkward directions love comes for people. And that was again a thing, because and I think also many people with disability, they think, oh, what I do, does anyone want to love me? Right?
Yeah,
Especially maybe again in the teenager, early 20s, this time comes, or a little later, and we think maybe we are less loved. I can just tell everyone who's listening, no, you're not. Because there's this old, I don't know, you have it maybe also in English, but in Germany we say every cooking pot has a top to it that fits.
yeah,
And the most interesting parts bring people together.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, you're in your 50s, I'm in
Yeah.
my 30s. Now let's beat down this elephant in the room. Well, obviously, I think I know how you got cerebral palsy, but how did you get CP? And how does it affect you on a day-to-day life? Because I know that CP affects people differently on a day-to-day life.
Yeah, yeah. So my mother went into the hospital. I remember she had lost her water, right? Water had broke. You
Okay.
say?
What a book.
So then she got to the hospital and she was very slim. And then the women who said, "Oh, you're not ready yet," and they didn't believe that she was ready to give birth. And
Okay.
she had to wait for hours for a doctor to
Ah,
come. And then, because I don't know, was in the middle of the night, and then I was laying breech. So they thought I was twins, right? You didn't have all those beautiful scanning devices you have nowadays.
mhm.
And yeah, so I stayed much too long in the birth channel or in the belly. Yeah, because they didn't believe she
So
was ready to give birth, and that's my
yeah,
life. And then they didn't even notice it. I was okay. I had a very, very red head because a lot of vessels and arteries, and they had popped open because of not enough oxygen, right? And but they didn't even notice I had that until I started walking, and that I even started walking late, and my mom thought maybe I would never walk. And then they noticed things that I had a limp, and my um, then I think they became a little more observant, and they put me in
yeah.
this horrible breech thingy. I don't know. I had to wear a lot of things I never wanted to wear.
Oh,
Where they would open up my legs so they would be wide, and I thought, why the heck do we need that? I know nowadays we really don't need those things, and I'll tell you why later. And then also then my arm hangs and my head is more to the right. I'm still able to speak. I do notice I speak awkwardly sometimes. I think but I think that because I think too fast, so my words
that
can't follow as fast as
is
I think.
I think way too fast for my own liking. I'm like half my brain is like half a second away from my speech. So yes, people
Yeah,
people will notice I think way too fast, and then I'm like jumbled because I'm trying to get the words out, and it's a mess. It's absolutely a mess. And
yeah,
so
but it is,
yeah,
it's our being that we're this fast. So that maybe this has a reason. So anything that I was in a way weak with, or all of the things where society puts a minus on, is where what my strength is now.
yeah, yeah.
I'm dyslexia. I don't know. I can still not read so well without
You're
making mistakes.
dyslexic?
Writing, speaking full sentences, mixing up languages.
Writing is a trick and a half for me. I can tell you that much. Writing, oh, writing is a trick and a half for me, and I'm also I use speech dictation. That's
That's
how I
I'm learning too nowadays with the transcribing, and computers makes my life much, much easier. That's, I have to say that for me, this is a gift. But also this way, I create a lot of fun. So people start laughing because of my awkwardness. And
yeah,
I call
people
it Meilinisch, right? This is just my style. And I now, when I give workshops, I also tell people, listen, I speak a little different, awkward, and I fall from High German into all my dialects. I lived in Switzerland. I come from Hessen, has a certain dialect. I bring my English into my sentences. And I said, one moment I speak this way and the other so. And I like to be this way. And this I call my lineage, and I let everyone know before, and I tell them, you get used to it after a
Yeah.
while. And they do. And I'm then surprised how much people really love then exactly that I am myself. So if I can give anyone who's listening today an advice, be yourself and teach in a way people how you are. So I've learned now recently, maybe in the last decade, if I support people in understanding of how I function, right, then they can understand me better. And this relates then into anything, in any relationship anyone has with everyone. This is very powerful because then they have an ability to see me on a deeper level. And also, I think it opens up a wider space so I can be seen and I can see them then, because I relax into myself and they relax into themselves. And that happens like a way of a softness when, when there's a softness when you're together with people, a gentleness. I love that.
Yeah, I know. And Meilin, what is your favorite book?
Ooh, you were saying I have to think. I don't really have one favorite book
Ah,
because in every moment I read a book, there's always a sentence or maybe a chapter or the
well,
story
that's
that
a good way to
fits,
put it.
yeah,
That's a
or
good
that
way to
fits
put it.
to the problems I have now in my life. I have a talent to pick out books or even movies. I also have that with movies that support me in a moment to provide healing, to provide insight to what I'm experiencing or what I'm going to experience soon.
Well, that's awesome. That is so completely so awesome that you have a talent of picking out books and picking out movies to support your life. And cerebral palsy, you guys, for those of you that don't know, hello, Meilin and I both have cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy could have its complicated upside down days. We could also have our great, we don't have CP days. I'm very, very lucky that I'm also very, very lucky that since the pandemic, I haven't had one of those upside down CP days where I just let it go. And so, well, it's just its own thing, but I'm very, very mindful of CP. And I don't know about Meilin, you in Germany, how this whole monkey business of a worldwide pandemic has affected you.
For me, I loved it in a way. There are two things. First of all, I need more sleep, but it's a whole family, my family, and where family I come from. So I'm a person who likes 9 hours of sleep, and if I have a few days or nights where I have six, I can sense it. I can maybe do well 1 2 days. I can push it. But then my body needs to supply energy, rest, and so I was able to go into this rhythm that is natural to me. So getting up later in the morning and going to bed later, because also we don't have school. I have a 14-year-old son, so that was very practical. I didn't have to get up in the early morning. Um, I love that the energy. So I feel very strongly the energies of the world. And this even and I can notice it. Just yesterday, I had a day like that. Then I'm more tired. If there's a lot of transformation happening around the world, so I sense it, and I work with through that as well. So then I need more rest, and I take it. Um, and I was able now to connect to many more people because of COVID, and also because the air and the energy is different. Everything is a little bit more calmer, It moves
Yeah.
slower. The hectic disappears, I believe, is slowly disappearing. People find their own rhythm, and you can sense it. We are moving more into harmony and into balance with our planet. And I believe that is
Exactly, I agree with
important.
you. I agree with you, and for those of you that don't know, I am what they call an empath, which basically means I can, um, figure out in 2 seconds flat, I can see the writing on the walls, basically, what's going on in my life, and I can sense the energy in the room. And I was yeah, I'll just say this. I was not liking the energy in the room yesterday, and we'll see whether that energy comes back um in the room today as we record this on October 8th. But if that energy comes back in the room, I will run the other direction. I will hide out in my office because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. And so, even though I have to, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. So, I'm just going to dive bomb into journalism, dive bomb into my radio show. But a lot of people with cerebral palsy could sense the energy in the room.
Yeah, yeah. And that's another thing. So, you asked me of how do we get momentum. So I also learned when days I'm not tired and I to take breaks here and there to get fit. But I've learned many ways to get fit or to get energy. So for me, it's sitting in the sun, for example, or being outside or walking barefoot. I walk a lot of barefoot. Um, I early girl. I was lucky. My mom took us outside a lot. I could go and roam the
Yeah.
village by myself as well. And this is important, and I encourage many also with cerebral, but not enough or any disabled or other normal person. Why? Where do we get this unending momentum? Is to connect to the earth and to connect to the skies and to bring in that energy and to feel comfortable within it, because then the whole body relaxes. Our brain changes in seconds, right? Washing your hands a lot has another thing. What happens when we wash our hands? It's really interesting when and so many people have to. It relaxes us because we become grounded in that moment. Many of us
Yeah.
wear shoes. We don't wear leather shoes anymore with leather soles. The age is over. But we have no direct contact anymore with the magnetic field like animals have it. They walk this way, right? They walk crisscross because they follow energy lines. And we have neglected. But when you take a shower or you wash your hands on, that's always a moment again where you get grounded and connected. So this hand washing is a really also a great thing that is happening now, that more people take the
Yeah,
time to do that.
exactly. More people take time in the bathroom to ground themselves.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah,
never thought about it that way. I was always told since the pandemic, and for those of you who are listening to this way in the future, it's October 8th as we record this, and listening in a world pandemic right now, aka coronavirus. And at the beginning of coronavirus, I was told you have got to wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. And now Meilin is saying that you become grounded again by washing your hands. And I never thought about it. I was always told for safety measures and compliance that washing your hands was a good thing. Yes, and it is. But I never put it as okay, wash your hands after you go to the restroom, you will become grounded again.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's a good thing. Anyone who's in stress, like I always say, people out of business meetings, when you step outside, go wash your hands and then go back into the meeting if you can, or if you can have an opportunity to go outside, touch a tree, and go back into the meeting room. You come back with a totally mindset. Because it's really not a mindset. Your body has switched. There's a fascinating thing because you said you're intuitive. I channel and I'm a physical channel. And I thought, oh my God, this is an oxymoron. Meilin who walks awkward, hops around this world.
Yeah,
And when I channel some eh, beings that dance, I can dance and I don't have a wobble and I don't limp and my arm is straight. So I thought, oh my God, how does this function so that we can switch from A to B? So I'm now also exploring and testing many things, how or noticing how fast our body can switch and heal itself. And we have the possibility to practice that, but I believe not to heal that we have to be perfect because no, but to go always to go into a different state when we desire or it's needed for us to be in a different state. Yeah, then we can become more precise or masterful of what a task lies in front of us. So this is what I also like to bring awareness to people, that even though we're different, and I'm not going to try, I hated it. I always had to wear a different shoe. I don't know how many things I had to do, almost so much exercise, stretching. Yeah, okay, it's fun. But there are times where you don't like to do it, or I don't like to do it. And then there are times I love to do it. And I now say, everyone, do it in your rhythm. When you feel like it's time to move your body, to dance, bring it on to, don't do it. Don't push yourself, because through this pushing, we condense. We tighten up, right? If we do something we don't want to. And that has percussions, I believe. We
yeah,
cannot be who we are. I cannot be who I am. You cannot be who you are, right? So this is another thing I would love to give people on. Be who you are and stand up for it and
yeah.
say, now I want to do this and now I want
And
to do that and I don't want to do this now. And this is very important to know. I don't want to do this now. Even you think that will help me. Yeah, it will help you, but not now.
yeah,
Yeah, this
don't
is, I think, very, very important.
don't give a flying rat's ass as to what other people think about you. Yes, we have cerebral palsy. Yes, we have all challenges, but we'll do things in our own time.
Yeah. And I think this is something all society uses to pressure people to do things. And
Yeah,
I believe it's time that it dissolves, that we all stand up for ourselves and say, no, look at now the society setting. We are able to reset a lot of things. Everyone do your own input and really see of what is in the work functioning in the world around you and what is working and functioning for you, and become aware of what you love and what you don't love and just do those things you do love.
now, as we wrap this interview up, do
Time
you
flies.
have any questions for me?
Yeah, what got you into speaking out so loudly about yourself?
Oh,
There's something in one where it suddenly a point comes. You said the word so nicely, rat's ass, you don't care, but there is something in you. So what was it that said no?
watching my mom die,
Huh?
watching my mom die, watching my
Oh,
biological mom die, and watching her suffer basically um, by a medical malpractice. And that's what drove me to speak out about cerebral palsy. And that's what drove after I was emotionally and physically abused 10 years
Mm.
after she died, 1 year after my dad died. That's what drove me to be emotional and physical abuse advocate.
Wow, powerful. Thank you for
Yeah,
doing this in this world.
I
It
want
really,
to, yeah,
I think you're
because
very
my mom
strong,
suffered.
courageous, and
She didn't have
imprinting. You imprint many.
My mom suffered. She didn't have to. My dad suffered. He didn't have to. It was by his choosing, so to speak, um, because he had undiagnosed lung cancer and left it way too late before it got diagnosed. And then after 1 month after he dies, I get emotionally and physically abused because I have cerebral palsy, and I don't give a flying rat's ass whether my family listens to this or not. But what my family did to me was despicable, and I'm slowly but surely coming back in touch with my family, slowly but surely. And then they did it because I have cerebral palsy and they thought I was lazy. They did it because I have cerebral palsy. I'm trapped in my own body. I need help. And they did it because they thought I was lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, also I came out of, I have to, I maybe I come from a different side. I was in a way a little luckier. My mom, she's a little bit of a rebellious side, and my dad, both of them. My mom escaped from East Germany when 3 days after she was 18. My dad's American, and he left also his family. They both left both of their families really early to find their own ways. And I had to thank my mom often. I think, Mom, because sometimes, as a spiritual one, say, why didn't she support me, the spirit? And she was hiding me in a way, not hiding me, but she found new ways to support me. Because if you would have been open about all the things that I had, more or less at that time, we
You
were
would
put
have been
away
dead.
into a home.
You would have
Right?
been
It's
dead.
Kennedy's in 68. I'm 68 born. 68 is anyway a really interesting year. Even the Kennedys had a child.
Yeah, yeah.
There was not. They put her away, and
The
my
Kennedys
parents didn't.
had
They,
a
yeah,
child that they put away. They did a brain surgery, a very a very weird brain surgery on their child, and they put her away
yeah,
because they come from the, and I think we still do, and it aggravates me to the 10th degree that my family still comes from the philosophy the handicapped child, yes, I said handicapped child, must be put away in a home.
yeah,
And that's aggravating to me. And my family, because I'm a little rebel out of myself, thanks dad for making me, instilling that in me. My mom was a little miss. I'll do whatever you say. I am not. I am not. That's not my personality. I will
yeah. The
do.
little rebel. I think maybe that's why we became rebels. Maybe that's the
I
point that I ask
will.
you. We
Yeah.
have this rebel in us.
Yeah, I will not do. I will do stuff that people tell me to an extent, but when I get pushed, oh, the rebel comes out when it's like I don't know if you. Yeah, when I get pushed, it's like, oh boy, the rebel comes out. Oh boy, and don't you dare stop me. And I'm like, okay. So my mom, on the other hand, was modest and perfect and had um, money and all this stuff. And my dad made a life for himself being a professional sound engineer, and he was a rebel in his own right, and he went over. Funny enough, you said Germany. He went over to Germany to do. One of the bands he worked with was the Pink Floyd, and
Oh,
tri- they did a trip over to Germany, and he said that was fascinating working with them in Germany, and because of the wall being taken down and all of that. And so my dad was a rebel also in its own right, and people that know me personally, well, people that know me long enough on this podcast know that I don't give a flying rat's ass.
mhm.
And so no, I don't give a flying rat's ass. Now, I can do things in quiet to an extent, but I when I get pushed, I and typically when I'm able-bodied, I'm a Cancer, by the way. That's my astrological sign. I also sit on the side of Gemini, but I'm act more like a Cancer. I have a lot of Capricorn in me too. So I think Capricorns are rebel rouses in their own right. And when I get pushed, oh, you don't want to see me. You don't want to see me. I just when I get um when I get presented a problem, I fix the problem. And whereas most people go, oh, let's work with this person and let's try and fix the problem on our own. I'm like, nope, I'm already uh, I'm already fixing the problem as we speak.
Oh yeah, then you really feel. I'm more the other side. I would. I'm someone who not so quiet anymore. But most of our life, I just became quiet and pulled back. But the other then outlet I would just boundaries were not existing for me. So I needed to and still do to be free and roam the world.
Yeah,
And walk my path. I barely walk on a straight line. If
you
I'm in the
barely
woods,
walk. You
I'm
barely walk on
zigzagging.
the
I
straight
cross the
line of our
lawn. I
days.
don't walk on the
We ba-
pavement.
we barely walk on a straight line. So
Yeah,
walking
genau.
like
We
that,
never walk a straight line.
we never
You're
walk on a
right.
straight line.
That whole
Well,
saying, we can give it another meaning
well,
now.
walk. You need. That's funny that I wanted that you say you need to walk the path of a straight line. Nope, cerebral palsy won't do that. Cerebral palsy won't do that. And so I think we both need to walk our path independently and get to the other side of the end of the path independently. I don't care if we're on our hands and knees. We will get to, I don't care if cerebral palsy puts us on our hands and knees, literally. We will get to the other side of the path.
We are already there.
Ah, we already there. Yeah, you're in your 50s, I'm in my 30s, and yeah.
I
And
still have to ways to go. They told me I would be in a wheelchair with 25, and I did have an operation when I was upset, and my hips wouldn't work, and I
my
always
hips
proved them wrong. They
still,
told me I
my
couldn't travel.
hips still
They
have a
told me
wheelchair in
so
me.
many things I couldn't do it.
My hips
And I said,
still
forget
won't
that.
work.
I'm not going to listen to that. And maybe I'm also because my parents never listened, but there's something in me. Then I said, no, there must be a different way. And I'm going to find it. I want to live for a long time. I know I'm going to be
Yeah,
120. There is
yeah,
this something
yeah,
within
no.
that.
There's a drive within, and my hips still don't work, and my knees don't work, and my back barely functions. My back barely holds me up anymore. And so, but we have a drive within us to um to achieve our goals every single day, and I'm not telling you what time it is, what time we started this interview. Speaking of drive within us, we I started this interview at 4:30 this morning to catch Meilin.
Yeah, I was
I
wondering. I said, "Oh
started
my God,
with
she's getting up early just to speak with me." I find this
yes,
fantastic.
oh
That's a
yes,
drive. Yeah.
oh yes. I had my alarm set at 4:20, and I got your Facebook message, and I'm like, okay, here we go. So I started this interview at 4:20 this morning just to get Mylene on this podcast because she's in Germany. I'm in Colorado. So you got to do what you got to do. So
Yeah.
talk about drive. Talk about drive to get this interview done, you guys. Talk about drive. Wake up at 4:30 in the morning when CP needs sleep to function.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but we have a drive to get all uh we have a drive that won't stop us. Now, it's Mylene, one last question for you, then I'll let you go. Is your son able-bodied?
Yes. And you
Oh,
know the fun. I have to say a funny
and
story. I mean,
now,
it's not funny.
yes,
My husband hurt himself. He now he really hurt himself badly a year and a half ago, and now he has also a limp. He barely can walk. I think sometimes he works worse sometimes than me. I make fun of it. And I tell Tom, my son, I said, "Oh my God, Tilo, now you have two parents that wobble around you." And he thinks he's so fun. He thinks it's really funny. Yeah, yeah, he's normal. And this was also a long time. I really was scared to have a child and also to give birth, or that we can have a whole new interview on this. Uh, to
we
give
should,
birth, but I
we
met
should
again the
have
right
a whole
people. I
new
have a
interview.
talent
We
to
should.
meet the
Let's
right
do that.
people.
Let's
Uh-huh.
do that, Mylene. I'll book you in again because I want to talk to a woman. I've been I've been waiting for years to talk to a woman that had a able-bodied child with cerebral palsy because I I have been told and I have questions for you that I won't get into on interview number one, but we should. I'll tell my assistant to book you back in
I
because
would love
I
that.
I want to dive in to childbirth with cerebral palsy because yeah, yeah, that will break stigmas right there. And I don't have kids of my own, but people I kept saying to other people around me that my body can't handle childbirth. My body can't handle childbirth. And now when I look at you, you give me a totally different perspective. I'm thinking, okay, maybe cerebral palsy can handle childbirth.
Yes, that's going to be
Okay,
a really interesting conversation. Yeah.
it's
You have
yeah,
in life,
it's
to I have to say one thing when, and probably was similar for you. People appear in our life or in my life that believed in me
yeah.
from all different directions, all different fields, and you can just sense it. So in a way, as you asked me the question about the book, it's a similar thing happens for people. The right people appear, but what is important, I believe, for everyone, set your vision very precise, what you desire and what you want, and then go get it.
Yep, just do it. Just do it. Now, Mylene, you and I are going to have a second conversation
Yes, I'm
recorded
looking forward to
all
that.
about childbirth and cerebral palsy because people keep saying to me, oh, when you can't have kids, oh, when your body won't allow it. And I'm like, oh, yes, it will. And I will, if I choose to do so, if it worst comes to worst, I'll adopt kids.
Mhm. It's
And
possible.
we're going to have a second conversation, you guys, all about childbirth with cerebral palsy because I have questions for you, Missy, that you are going to be shocked by. I'm like, okay, she carried a baby. I need to talk to her and I need to get this recorded on the record because it's 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 absolutely fascinating that and studies have shown you guys that women with cerebral palsy, like Meilin and myself, can have able-bodied kids. I don't know how, but
For
because
you to figure out, come to the next interview, listen
well,
to the next
yeah,
show.
well, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know how, but studies have shown that, and you guys have to listen to the next interview because it's going to be interesting. And studies have shown, and I may stick you, Mylene, on another another podcast that I do with my girlfriend because it's gonna be interesting what you say to me, and I can't wait. I can't wait because I'm in my 30s and I'm considering either adopting a child or having a child, and I I can't wait to talk to you about childbirth and cerebral palsy, and so we'll make that happen. But I appreciate you guys supporting me and supporting Mylene and supporting our journeys with CP. And I hope you guys were educated with CP. I know you guys like me as a podcast host. Mylene, where can people find you and where can people get a hold of your radio show if they choose to do so?
Oh, thank you for asking. The best, I love to speak always directly with people. So, meet Meilin, Meilin.com. You can always schedule a time and speak with me. Otherwise, I'm on all social outlets. And the podcast, which I now putting more time in, is Moving to Oneness. And it's all on all
Moving to
different
oneness.
outlets as well.
Moving
Moving to
to
Oneness.
oneness. And you're going to have to give me the name of that because obviously you have a new fan. You got a new
Yeah,
fan on the
thank you.
interview. And it's like, okay, cerebral palsy must stick together in their speaking careers. Cerebral palsy must stick together. And my goodness, you guys, I could tell that Mylene has cerebral palsy by her facial features, but she like me. You don't sound like you have cerebral palsy, and because you worked hard at it as a child, and I am so honored to meet you and be friends with you, and hopefully when this whole COVID mess is over, I get to come hug you in person. And yes, I said hug, you guys.
Yes, I love that.
I
Here in
love
Germany, or I come to the US,
yeah,
or wherever in the world.
yeah. Well, we meet in the middle. You I may have to meet you in Atlanta, and we'll hang out, and I'll introduce you to another friend of mine with CP and who lives in Atlanta, and he's a phenomenal young guy. And well, he's not that young now. He's in his. You guys, Google "walk with KP." Walk with KP. Google, um, walk with KP, and you'll see his brother and him are triathletes. And I met him and his brother and his team while I was doing triathlete stints, and I was a triathlete. I am the first woman ever with cerebral palsy to hold the record to be competing in a Kona Ironman. That is a totally different story in itself. But
Wow.
speaking of Atlanta, I met this crew um, in Atlanta, and they're just amazing. So Google Walk with KP, you guys, and you'll see what they're doing. Yeah, Meilin, you and I will have to meet up in Atlanta. I may have to take the trip over to Germany because now I want to go. Germany wasn't on my travel list, but as I said, I love hopping on an airplane with help, and I love meeting people, and I love absolutely hopping on an airplane with help and just traveling alone.
Good for you. Yes, the world is
So
fascinating to see, and it's
the
to
world
go and meet and soak up the energy of the world.
Yeah, the world is fascinating to see. And so I appreciate you guys' support, and I hope to see you on the next podcast, you guys. And please subscribe and please share this episode out with friends. And you guys, help me out on the Amazon Smart Speaker Land. Say Amazon Smart Speakers name and play ask win. Actually say Amazon Smart Speakers name, open up Amazon Music, play ask win. That's how you do it. And then please subscribe and listen, and just let's have fun as we learn about cerebral palsy. Thanks to you guys. Bye, you guys.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Thank you for our